It's a pleasure to be back with you guys. And today, what we are going to do is see what I have to offer to you for the next coming up course, that is the Nakshatra course. Of many things that I have to offer, one of the very beautiful things that I have to teach is the Nadi Kuta system. What is the Nadi Kuta? In marriage matching, which many people today find obsolete. Honestly, the new generation finds the entire system of marriage matching for seeing taking the jatakam or the patrika or the natal charts, matching charts. People find it extremely, people find marriage matching extremely funny nowadays. Well, each to his own, but on my deeper research, I have always found that this matching holds a great sway. But the Nadi Kuta, which is related to Nakshatra, holds a whole lot more sway. Not because it is related to Nakshatra, but out of the 32 points given to the matching, 8 points, that is 1/4 of the point, is given to Nadi Kuta. What is Nadi? Now, for me, it's always been like, let's go to the base roots. If we do not go to the base roots, we will never ever be able to understand. Because with so many principles, with every video that you watch, with everything that you read, you come across 10 more new points. So to remember and retain them in your memory is going to be a formidable task for each one of us. So if I know things from scratch, I would never ever have to, go back or learn anything because it goes into my memory bank direct on. So when I'm talking in terms of Nadi Kuta, what I see is that there are 3 nadis, and that is the Pingala, Shushuma and Ida. The Pingala is the right nadi, the sun nadi. The Shushuma is the middle nadi, and it is the Agni nadi, and Ida is the moon nadi. And how are the nakshtras related to it? How do they function? How do we work on it? And when we are working on charts of seeing how how these charts will affect in our lives, then we can understand what Nadi Kuta is all about. Not only does this Nadi Kuta affect us, Nadi Kuta affects our children also. The kind of progeny that we will have can be very well defined by the Nadi Kuta. So, the earlier on, there were 2 things that they always said, the elders always said, that if Nadi Kuta is not matching, and another thing that was not matching, which is again related to the signs, but this is Nadi Kuta is so much related to nakshatras, I'll stay here. So if the Nadi Kuta is not matching, in such a case, they would definitely say that we have to reconsider the proposal. We have to reconsider whether we should get this match started up or not. This was very, very apparent. And now when I've studied it, and when I teach that in detail, even it would become very apparent to you. And the first thing that you would see would definitely be Nadi Kuta. You would understand why a person would first check. In fact, see, in nowadays, let's come to Deshkal Patra. So in the earlier times, it was more a system of arranged marriage in all over the globe. Today, the system of love marriage has been taking over. So when you tell a youngster that it is not for you to get married to this lady or to this man because the Nadi Kuta is not matching, I think they will not just repel you, they will even throw the person telling all these things out of the house. So right on, when they come up with a relationship to you and they ask you, should we go ahead in that relationship, this chart also works. You can tell them whether this relationship, the direction this relationship is going to work on. Because not only do you have people coming up for matching charts at the end of, before they start their marriage, you also have people nowadays being so tired of moving into relationships which are just not working out, they come to you also at a time when the relationship is right, going on a proper journey. It's just begun. So they want to ask you if they should invest their emotions, their time, their every aspect of their life in a relationship, if it is going to work out. You can definitely, you're not the one. I never take a call on whether they should or they should not. You should just tell them as to what you see and the direction this can go, and if they're really insistent on taking it, what precautions they can take. It will make life so much easier for those people. Okay, now the second thing that I have is, see, the nakshatras, the 9 nakshatras from Magha to Jeshta will definitely be taught, and the intricacies, you can take it with relating to deities, the stories and how they pan out, how they reflect. Then you have the Shakti of the nakshatra, what it is capable of giving you, the symbol, the guna, the animal. I have always maintained that the animal not only gives a basic character, it also gives a very strong animalistic instinct, and how a person behaves very much in his or her own personal life. So like for for bull, they say that the bull has a very strong appetite, or a bull has a lesser finesse. So if you mate a bull with somebody as sensual as a snake, that is definitely not going to pan out or work out. So the physical side of their life might be disturbed, relating to making disharmony in the entire relationship. So all these things would be also taught. And then apart from that, you have remedial measures. These remedial measures that I am going to teach are going to be a little unique, because we have to do it with meditation, mudra, plants is definitely there. Then I have something called essential oils. Nowadays people, what do? They can use the essential oil. You would realize that there are certain fragrances you're very fond of, be it lavender, be it rose. Then if you would just go back and see, one of the planets which is very strong for you would be sitting in that nakshatra, which is giving that fragrance. So you can always do a lot of work. So this is what is going to be taught. And apart, special nakshatras, like supposing you want to know what is the nakshatra, or what is the direction where you can do good work. What is the nakshatra that will give you a good job, or what kind of job that you can do. See, again, I'd say that the planets are only 9, and the jobs are thousands. The professions are thousands. But you can just have a small opening, a link as to what it can pan out to be. And that pointing in the right direction can give you a lot of answers. I was just talking to somebody today, and I was just telling the person that we have so many techniques in astrology, so many sutras in astrology, but we need to just stick on to a few that we have found very grounded, working for us, and more we refine those very sutras, the chart will speak. Because I have seen all roads lead to the same Rome. But if you are going to follow each and every road, then you may not be able to continue on, cover that journey to Rome. But if you follow just one road, stick on to that one road, your journey will be assured and a lot faster. So this is what I'm going to show with nakshatras, also a lot of other things, not just the 9 nakshatras. Before we wind up, I also want to show that a nakshatra, every nakshatra will have certain gun, be it dev gun, or be it the rajas gun or a tamo gun. These 3 are the ways of life. Okay, somebody who wants to live a very simple yet a very clean life, somebody who wants to live a life where there is an exchange. There is a need not to do things for free, but to do things with an exchange. The idea of creating a product. And there are some people who would want to live a life where they have the main say. It's all about I, me, myself. That's the Satogun, the Rajogun, and the Tamogun. So now each nakshatra has a certain guna attached to itself. Okay, but the main, and that is the main guna, but at the same time each nakshatra will have all the three aspects very much prevalent, and that I will show you with the Mahabharata, the characters of Mahabharata. I would want to tell you one thing. My research here, or my not just my research, my findings have been that the nakshatra they have been born in have a definite find. You will find these nakshatras very much applicable, very much present in the Mahabharata. Okay, so there is a parva in Mahabharata, or a chapter in Mahabharata, Anushasana Parv, where you will where there is a discourse between Bhishma Pitamaha, and there is this discourse between Yudhishthira, because when Bhishma Pitamaha was lying on his bed of arrows, then Krishna approaches Yudhishthira and says, Bhishma Pitamaha has been taught by the best of the best in this universe. He has been taught by Lord Brihaspati in Niti Shastra, by Angira, by Veena Shukracharya. He had been taught by none other than Parshurama himself in the way of doing the archery and battle and everything. So he was very well versed in each and every shastra. Okay, and that is each and every part, every kind of knowledge was something that Bhishma Pitama was very much influenced by the greatest of the greatest. He had the advantage that his mother was Ganga, who could ask these stellar personalities to assist her son. So Lord Krishna says that the knowledge is going to simply die away. The knowledge is going to be just going to elope from this planet, because he is going to die with this knowledge. So he still has a few days left. If you can just get the summary of the knowledge that he has, and it will help you run your kingdom in the best possible manner. So on his deathbed, Bhishma Pitama ends up giving the vast knowledge that he has acquired from stellar personalities in summary to Yudhishthira. He starts with one. What does he start with? He starts with the Vishnu Sahasranam, where he is exalting Lord Krishna in form of Lord Vishnu. And he says that there are 1001 names. Sahasra means 1000. 1001 names of Lord Krishna, of Lord Vishnu that he has called him. And then he gives, and nakshatras were the prevalent method. Nowhere will you come across in the Vedic times about Rashis. Rashis have no mention there. Rashis came in quite late. Nakshatras were the prevalent one. Lord, as to where Mars is there, where is Rahu-Ketu, all these during the war of the Hastinapur and Kurukshetra could be seen, heard of. So we find, and he is also given Bhishma Pitama. I can give you the chapter number, I can give you the verse numbers, and I can give you the parv where it is shown that he is given the remedial measures for every nakshatra, what its effects would be, and what to be given, when to be given, whom to be given, and what effects it will lead to. Very well defined. Even in the 10th chapter of Gita, Lord Krishna says that who he is. He ends up defining in the universe who he is as the greatest of the great. He says, in the kings I am in humans I am the king. In Adityas I am Vishnu. So he goes about saying who he is in every category. And in the nakshatras, he has a mention that I am Rakesh, that is, I'm the moon, because the moon travels through each of the nakshatras, and he's supposed to be the king, the husband of the nakshatras. He has no mention anywhere of the Rashis. So this is laying the importance of the nakshatras and stating that the nakshatras have a very definite way, place in our Puranas, in our ancient culture. Now let me go to explain to you how these three in the same astrology in the Mahabharata. So let's start with it. So when I'm talking about Karna, my topic here is Karna. It's a Magha Nakshatra. Actually, my topic is Magha Nakshatra. Karna was supposed to be born in Magha Nakshatra. Okay. Now, this character in the epic is one of the most controversial characters because there are a lot of questions about Karna that are raised in the epic. Okay. Was his loyalty and faithfulness to his friend, knowing that his friend Duryodhana was wrong, in the wrong, in many instances, beginning with eyeing the throne with a negative intent, with being so obsessed with the throne, and the most heinous deed that he did uh, was ask for Draupadi to be derobed in the royal presence. Yet he sides with that person, knowing that that person is wrong, but he knows that he is the one who gave him a place, a name in society, and for that he was eternally grateful to Duryodhana. He maintained that he would be on that side. So loyalty and faithfulness is something that you do see in this nakshatra of Magha. You also see a generosity of the spirit. You see, he knew that if his Krishna goes and tells Karna that you are siding the wrong side, go ahead and go to the side of your brothers, because you know the Pandavas, you know that they will win the war, and you know they will crown you. I know Yudhishthir, he will without any thought, he will give up his throne because you are the eldest of the sons of Kunti. And it was a matriarchal society, in the sense that all the children of a lady, married lady, was said to come from, doesn't matter who the father was, but it was said that they belonged to that person she was married to. So he says that no, he knows that his siblings are people who are such that they would accept him and they would unconditionally give their throne to him. And he also knew, because he was indebted to Duryodhana, he would end up giving the crown to Duryodhana, and he knew that it was not right. So he refused to come reveal his identity. In the sense, he was protecting his siblings. The idea that Magha is ruled by Pitris and there is a sense of protection, this comes from the Magha Nakshatra in Karna. He knew that his siblings deserved better. And so you can see the qualities of the Pitris of being a responsible person, of being one to protect his dynasty, his lineage can be seen. You can also see that now there's a very beautiful story about Karna. Because he was born to Kunti when she was very young and she was an unwed mother. So the taboo still, which continues, which has watered down a lot in this generation and this time of Kali Yuga, was extremely prevalent even in those days. And she was a princess. Kunti, because she was given a boon by Lord Durvasa, had the ability to attract any god, any devata, and have a child with that devata. To test, as any youngster would, she also wanted to test the boon, and she ends up inviting Lord the sun god. And what happens? The sun god says that since you've called me, I cannot go back. I have to give you a child. I am bound by that boon. So what she does is she has a child, And she says, but I'm an unwed mother. I cannot get my child out in the open. So he says, fine, I bestow a pair of earrings and a breastplate, that is a kavach, that is a protection, a lifelong protection on this child. And he would always have that protection. They can, as long as he is wearing that, he will never ever be killed. He will never ever face any problem. Finally, what happens is that as he grows up, this kavach also keeps expanding. It's like a second skin for him, and the earrings can never be opened by him. Kunti has had to let him go. She seals him up in a big basket, and she lets him down in a small river. He's found, he's brought up, he's fostered, he grows up, he ends up becoming the king of one of the areas that have been bestowed to him by Karna, by Duryodhana, so on and so forth. Just before the war, Lord Indra, who is said to be the father of Arjuna, knows that as long as Karna has this kavacha and the earrings, okay, the protection of the earrings cannot be defeated. What happens? He knows that, you see, it's royalty. This Magha Nakshatra denotes royalty. So they say that the royals are supposed to be very true to their words. Once you take an oath, you do not go back on your oath. What does this man do? What does Lord Indra do? What does he do? You know what? He comes after the prayers have been offered by Karna to sun god. Karna had this thing in mind that once I offer prayer to the sun god, anybody who comes to me for alms after that, I will not deny the person. So Indra chooses a very appropriate moment to come and ask for the kavach and the kundal or the earrings, and knowing that he will not be denied. Though Karna has been told in advance, warned in advance by Suryadev or the sun god, not to let it go. He says that because I have taken an oath for you, I am your child. If I do that, you will be maligned. So I'm not going to do that. My life is not that bigger than your or my name, because we are Kshatriyas. So what he does is he gives that kavach, and that results finally in his death. But he's given that away. So it is again, when you see that an ability, Tyag Shepani Shakti of this nakshatra comes into play, when you see that they have the ability to let go of their own life, to just move on to the next one, knowing when to let go of it. This comes into play. Then we have is the star of power. Okay, so you will see that the Magha Nakshatra, being the star of power, he didn't know that he was not a Shudra. He looked like a Kshatriya all the time, and he, not knowing that he was a Shudra, he ended up learning. He had a burning desire to be a warrior right from his birth. He ended up learning the best of knowledge from none other than the guru of Dronacharya and Bhishma Pitama, Lord Parshurama himself, albeit it was under a false pretext that he was also a Brahmin. But he learns, he was cursed for that, but he learns that. And the Rakshash Gan, this nakshatra is a Rakshash Gan. So people think that Rakshash Gana is bad. I would associate it as a thing that would help you break glass ceilings. These people are go-getters in life. They don't care for glass ceilings. They set up new parameters. They go ahead and break those very parameters. He broke the parameter that a Shudra can only do menial job. He could only be a charioteer, though he was brought up by a charioteer. He could only be a charioteer. He would only do things like pottery or farming or things like that. He wanted to be a warrior. He said, I don't care if I am brought up in a Shudra family. I will go ahead, learn the skills, master the skills of a Rakshasa, of a warrior, and he became the Kshatriya, ace Kshatriya. In my opinion, if you ask me, he was more skilled than Arjuna Arjuna had just one single advantage which eclipsed all other things, and that was Lord Krishna was his but charioteer. But Karna was a very, very strong warrior, and this again gives, you can see the Rakshasa guna of being dedicated, focused on their job, getting work done, achieving their goals, very much apparent in this nakshatra. So you see the sattvic side where he is full of sacrifice. He's fighting for one thing. He's fighting to get his identity out. But even when his identity is revealed to him, he's left by his mother from a very early age. He's not given his due. Even when his identity is revealed to him, he will sacrifice it for the sake of his siblings. So much protection. And we see the sattvic gun operating even in this Tamo-Guna Nakshatra. Let's move on to Bheem. Bheem, we know, is the second of the Pandavas. He was also born in the Magha Nakshatra. So we'll see that maybe all these will even apply to him. Now, one of the Pitris of his mother, Pritha, that is Kunti, were the Nagas. When he was poisoned, now there was a constant competition between two characters of Mahabharata. We see the competition between Arjun and his elder sibling, though unknown to him, that is Karna. But one very, very apparent competition is between Bheem and Duryodhan. We will take it up in Duryodhan's case also later. But Bheem was one of the strongest of the entire lot, and everybody realized that as long as Bheem was alive, it was difficult to defeat the Pandavas, because till then Arjuna had not emerged as an ace warrior. So Bheem was supposed to be a threat. So they poisoned Bheem, the Kauravas, and they threw him in a river. Now, what happens is Bheem, when he falls at the bottom of the river, he is bit by the Nagas. We always say a poison kills a poison. So when the Nagas bit him, they released poison out of his body. Okay, and then the Naga king gave him 10 jars of a liquid that, and each such jar had the power of 10,000 elephants in it. And when Bheem drinks it, he becomes one of the greatest warriors. So see, his ancestors, his mother's ancestors have saved him big time. And not only saved him, blessed him with power. And we know that this is a star of power. So Bheem ends up getting that star of power. But Bheem is so very unlike Karna here, because you see, Bheem ends up as the one who is doing it not without any reason. His reason is very apparent. He sees that his brothers, his mother have been very ill-treated by the Kauravas, and he just has one goal in mind: to get even. You see the Rajogun coming up. Fair. What is fair and what is square? Okay. And just like the deities of this nakshatra, the Pitris, we see that there's a protective force, and he was a protective force because Bheem had a huge body. In the Lakshagraha, that is the lacquered house series in the Mahabharata, if you haven't read that, the Mahabharata, people say that you shouldn't keep a Mahabharata at home because it causes fight. Well, I have heard from my elders, and I have heard from many saints that when you don't read Mahabharata, you cannot understand shades of character a person can have, and so you're not in a state to understand politics or to understand human nature. The Mahabharata is one of the best way to understand human nature, because it shows you how people can function under various circumstances. Okay, given the same circumstance, given different circumstances, a same person can show so different personalities. That's the best book to understand human nature, and then decide on what path you have to follow. So this character, that is Bheem from Mahabharata. He is a beautiful character. He is a beautiful person because he provides that shelter to his younger brothers. He's said to have carried them on his person because he was so huge. His mother and person, when they were very tired in the forest that they had to dwell, he killed many Rakshasas. He in the forest, be it Hidimb, be it Bakasur, who would eat one whole cart full of um, you know wheat or rice or any such cereal with the bullocks and the person delivering it. So he decided to put an end to the menace of Bakasur. He killed Hidimb, again a very very strong Rakshas, and we see he killed so many other people to save others. So the protection that he provides is good. Again, I would like to tell you, throne is the symbol for this nakshatra. And guess what? Bheem is the one who is said to be the heir apparent for, when we were talking about Hastinapur, the heir apparent of Indraprasth. Yes, sorry, Indraprasth. Then Bheem was said to be the heir apparent of Yudhishthira. So yes, he's said to be the prince in command. And when we talk about, again, breaking glass ceilings, as I've told earlier about the Rakshasa one, have you ever heard of a human being having the ability to drink the blood of his own cousins? It was Bheem, because he had taken a vow. I again tell you that this is a royal sign, this is a royal nakshatra. And so he had taken a vow that he will not leave any of the sons, the 100 sons of of you know of 100 brothers of Duryodhan, neither him, because they had humiliated their wife Draupadi in the Rajya Sabha or in the royal court. So Dhritarashtra was supposed to lose all his sons because he did not have the ability to stand up and say what was right or wrong against his sons. So he says to one, Dushashan in particular, because Dushashan was the one who had snatched Draupadi's sari. He said, I will drink your blood and I will make sure that you are the one who repents. And he did that. Though he confessed later on that the blood did not go beyond his teeth, but he did that because he had taken a fierce vow. So we see the Rakshasa quality again came over here, and the Tamogun quality coming in. But it was for a cause. So it has to be a Rajogun dominating the Tamogun. The Ugra, there is a Ugra side associated with it. What do you mean by Ugra? Ugra means fierce nature. So we can very well see the fierce nature, and the way he kills those 100 brothers, the 99 brothers, and later on the way he killed Duryodhan can go and tell you and show you the extreme method in which this entire thing happened, and his fierceness and his anger. He also comes. We see that they come from the lineage of Rishi Angiras. So this Angi means a fire, and so there is a lot of fire in all the three characters that we would be seeing under this nakshatra. Be it Karna. Karna had the fire to establish his own identity. Bhim has a fire to establish a rightful place for his brothers and himself. And we have Duryodhan, who has this fire to establish himself as the king of the Kaurav Vansha. So we can understand this Rishi Angiras operating for this nakshatra. And finally, if I can say so, the bird for this nakshatra is an eagle. And we always see that the eagle swoops down amongst the sparrows. So if you have not seen or read the Mahabharata, go and do read it again, I repeat, because there's a very cute scene where it's stated that while playing, and if they would play hide and seek, Bheem would conveniently go in the garden and he would just, what should I say, give a good push to the trees, and all the Kaurava brothers, whoever were hiding in a particular tree, would start dropping down like fruits. So, he was an eagle who would swoop over the sparrows. This is what Bheem is all about. A very Rajogun operating in this Tamo-Guna Nakshatra. Finally, I want to talk about the Tamo-Guna Nakshatra. I don't have anything in particular, anything wrong in particular about Duryodhan, but the few things that he did were uncalled for, literally very, very maligning, and so he had to meet his end the way it did. He also has the Magha Nakshatra. So, how does this operate? See, there's an obsession for the throne. Right from the time he is born, he has a huge amount of obsession for this throne. This is going to be a very strong, throne symbolic association. Again, he does have a softer side. It is said that he was very, very faithful as a husband to his wife, and for Karna, he realized, because probably deep down he was also trying to establish his own identity as a king or heir apparent to the kingdom of Hastinapur. So he knew what it was all about, not having an identity. So he also helps Karna as a friend, and he's always called him a friend. So that is the softer side of the Pitris that we have, where you acknowledge, you give your royal insignia, you give your protection to people who are weaker than you. Okay, he was also, you see, a bad Rakshasa trait in him when he asks the derobing of our Draupadi right there in the royal chamber, in the royal presence, in the royal court by his younger brother. It was absolutely an unthoughtable and uncalled for attitude, which did not go down very well for him, because at the end he was killed. And he so much so as invites Draupadi to come and sit on his thigh, which is an absolute inappropriate remark that can be made to any lady. And then that is the one that brings his downfall. But that is another matter, another story. Again, I was talking about the Ugra, the fierce nature. We've seen his fierce nature in the Mahabharata throughout. Throughout, we see that his jealousy towards the Pandavas, as relating to throne, as relating to power, their being present in Hastinapur, that is the kingdom, and his fight to finish with Bheem for the win of the war is also very apparent. Again, Sage Angiras is, see, when the fire can be three types. The fire can be one which burns, the sacred fire which burns in the Veda, the Vedi. That is, it burns in a sacred pot which is used to do the homams and the havanams, the yagnas. The second can be the fire which is used to cook and to fill the Jatharagni. Jatharagni means the fire of the stomach. So you cook it so that fire of the stomach can be fulfilled. That's a Agni, or the fire that grows in your heart. And finally, there's the fire that is there in your mind and your heart, which burns, or rather I'd say which the forest fire, which burns away so much of good, so that hatred and that mind, anger, jealousy, these are like the forest fire which burn away everything in its path, the good, bad, the ugly. And Duryodhan was so much influenced by this kind of fire when we're talking about hatred, jealousy, envy, all these things in his life. He was consumed by this fire. Duryodhan, by his mother, was given a very special, his mother, throughout her lifetime, after getting married to Dhritarashtra, his mother Gandhari, she had vowed to cover her eyes because her husband was a blind person. So she also covered her eyes, as that she would also not be able to see anything. Now, when her 99 sons were killed, she just wanted to save one child. And I don't think there's anything wrong. as a mother, I would agree to it that she wanted to be at least one child to be safe and secure, having lost 99. So what she does is she calls him. She uses by Lord Vedavyas, she is guided to understand that because she has not used this facility of the eyesight, there's immense power stored. Very beautiful analogy. There's a tank up here which gets a lot of water, but the water is not that there's no tap to release it. So the water gets stored over the period of time. Once the tank is open, this is open, the tap is open, it releases the whole water. So she had the entire shaktis or her powers stored in her eyes. So she goes and tells him that you come naked in front of me, Duryodhan, and I will make sure that are you're very strong and nobody can defeat you. Lord Krishna knows he has been the one to manipulate, or rather to modulate the battle. So he tells, he meets Duryodhan midway and tells him that, you know what, you should just cover the genitals. You're so big in age. How can you go in this form to your mother? At least cover your genitals. And hypnotic way that Lord Krishna says. He is a Rohini nakshtra. He knows how to get his work done. And he goes there in the way, in covering his genitals. And Kunti, when she sees it, she realizes that this is his weakest spot. He becomes an iron man. He literally becomes an iron man, except for that very small region. And it is absolutely no, when in the battle of Mahabharata, the last battle between Duryodhan and Bheem was one of the toughest battles, because they could not understand why he could not simply be hurt. And then Bheem is made aware of the fact that the most crucial moment, this is something that I heard and I read, and I find it extremely operating for all of us in any part of our life. Your most hideous or heinous deed in life is your greatest weakness. And Duryodhana's hideous and the most heinous deed was asking Draupadi to come and sit on his thigh in the royal court. And then they realize that that is his weakest part, his weakness. And Bheem ends up hitting him there. But remember, the Tyagshepani Shakti that I'm talking about gives you an ability to decide when you can leave. And with becoming an Iron Man, he thought that he had the ability to decide when he would leave the body, just like Bhishma Pitama. Okay, so the goal, again, this we can see how this comes into play, but there is, Lord Vishnu always finds a loophole everywhere. When he deals with the Rakshasas, or even with the Devatas, he always manages to find a loophole, and he's an ace lawyer, if you ask me. So he finds a loophole there, because it's a human. You are born to die. The goal of this nakshatra is material acquisition. Why? Because it's an Artha nakshatra. And nobody can define this part of the nakshatra better than Duryodhan, because he was extremely focused in becoming the king of Hastinapur. And Indraprasth, because it was the said kingdom in the world at that moment. So there's many more I have on Nakul Sahadev, I have it on Krishna, Arjun, everybody. But this was just a preview to how the nakshatras operate. And so much about examples for everything would be shown in the upcoming course on nakshatras by me. So I hope you've liked this video. Do leave your comments, and if you want to join the course, the details of the course are also given below. Thank you so much for being